completing the square.
It's not that easy.
Square completed, I think. Right, this video we're going to show you how to complete the square. And we're going to go straight in with some examples because I think that's the best way to go forward with this. And I'm going to do the first example and then Amy's going to do a second example. Okay, so completing the square, our first example is x squared minus 6x plus 1. And this is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c.
But here we can see that a in this example is actually 1 because it's imaginary, but it's there. So in my example, a won't be 1.
Yeah, there we go. She's told you. Okay, so the first step is writing out the square bracket. So that's what we start with. And in these brackets, we're going to put x and then plus b over 2. And in this case, b is minus 6, so that's going to be minus 3. Then outside the brackets, to complete this square, we have to minus b squared, so b is minus 3, no, it's minus b over 2 squared, and then plus minus c.
It's plus c.
It's plus c. Great. Okay, so I'm going to write that in the a, b, c form here. So we've got x plus b over 2 squared minus b over 2 squared plus c. Hope that's in the video. Yeah, okay, now we're just going to simplify this out to get our answer. So minus 9 plus 1. Boom.
Perfect. Right, I'm going to use exactly the same steps as Hannah has now for example 2. Okay, so example 2, write 2x squared minus 12x plus 23 in the form a brackets x plus b squared plus c, where a, b and c, this notation belong to the integers. Can't be bothered to write integers out. Okay, and that's the way it will be written in the exam, so just get used to that. Okay, so first thing to note here is the fact we've got a 2 here, so our a, unlike Hannah's example, is not 1. So basically there's just one more extra step, and all you do first is pull out that 2 or whatever number is in front of the coefficient, the one in front of the x squared. So if I pull out 2 here, I'm going to get x squared, so I'm just factorising, minus 6x, so I'm dividing this by 2. Then 23 divided by 2 is 11.5, so I'm just going to write 11.5. Okay, so what I've done is taken that factor out, and now I'm left with something that looks exactly the same as what we had in the first example.
My example?
Your example.
Yeah, thank you.
And so we're just going to do exactly the same steps, which is what we're going to do every time. So just ignore the 2, but don't ignore them, leave them there. Okay, so first part is we get the squared, so... And what we put there is half of the x coefficient, which here is minus 6, so minus 3. Then we subtract whatever this number here is that you get and square it, and then we just add on this last c value here. And then that is all multiplied by 2. That's the catch here. So let's just mess around with this.
I just watched
catch
22.
Catch 2,
It's on my
actually.
mind. Yeah, but like there's still a 2, isn't there?
Be quiet. So minus 3 squared is 9, plus the 11.5, don't forget this 2. Keep going. So minus 9 plus 11.5 is 2.5. And then remember this 2 is multiplied by both of them. So 2, that will multiply by that. And then 2 multiplied by 2.5 is 5. And there you have your answer. So the only extra step was this first bit, 2. So if you have a coefficient in front of the x squared that isn't 1, do that first. By the way, they were exam questions. We took those from the exam, so
Yeah,
very similar to what you
very
said.
good point to say there. Well done, Amy. Right, okay, so then a little bit that they often add on to the end of an exam question is to ask you to find
Context.
context, find the turning point, okay? The turning point is when the inside of the bracket equals 0. Okay, so these have all been quadratic. So a quadratic on a graph looks like this. Yep, Amy's coming in here with...
She's not labelling her axes and it's making me very upset.
Yes, sorry about that. Okay, the turning point is the point where it turns, which is also like the minimum point in the graph. So in this case here, but it could, very well could, be the maximum where it also turns. So that would be there. Okay, so that's what it looks like on a graph. That is the point we're finding. So say we had our first example, which was x minus 3 squared minus 8. So if this was in the form y equals, so we want to find the turning point, so we want the bracket to equal 0, so we want this bit to equal 0, and that's going to equal 0 when x minus 3 squared equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0, x equals 3. Okay, so the x coordinate of this turning point is going to be 3, and then the y coordinate is always going to be the c number, because if you put the bracket as 0, then y is minus 8. So the turning point here is 3 minus 8. Okay, so now we're just going to show you that on the end of an exam question.
Okay, so here is our exam question. So the first part A, write x squared minus 2x minus 1 in the form x plus a all squared plus b, where a and b are integers, that means. Okay, so as we can see from this form, we're immediately going to have to complete the square, because there's the square bit, there's the complete bit. So we're just going to look at that and go ahead and use our method to complete the square. So first we have the square bit. We don't have a number in front of the x, so we're all good. Okay, then we put
the
in...
number's 1.
Well,
we remember.
yeah, oh, sorry. And then we take half of this value here, and this value here is minus 2. So half of minus 2 is minus 1. Then we take away whatever we got here squared, and then we add back a c. So let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. So minus 1 squared is 1, minus 1, so that is going to be minus 1 minus 1. Minus 2. There we go, complete the square, part A done. Read part B. Hence or otherwise write down the coordinates of the turning points of the graph y equals x squared minus 2x minus 1. Okay, on to me. So we can note that the graph they're asking us to find the turning point of is the same as the square we've just completed. So we're still looking, we're going to take this answer, we'll just write y equals x minus 1 squared minus 2. So finding the turning point, we're going to make the bracket equal 0. So x minus 1 squared equals 0. I'm sure we can do, yeah, so x minus 1 equals 0, x equals 1, and then the y coordinate, if this part equals 0, then y is just going to equal 0 minus 2, it's going to equal minus 2. So there you have it, the coordinates of the turning point. Don't forget to put it back in the coordinates.
Yeah, you want to keep in that form if it's asked for coordinates. Give them the coordinates, is what I like to say.